I didn't wake up planning to clean a billionaire's windshield with a diner napkin. But at that red light on 7th Street in Phoenix, heat bouncing off chrome like it had a grudge, that's exactly what I did. I stepped out, napkin in hand, and wiped dust in slow circles, while the driver tensed, and the woman in the back watched me like I was a test. She didn't know she was taking. He cracked the window to shoo me, and the words jumped out of my mouth before I could catch them. I can't beg. My hands still work, the light turned green, horns got mean. The SUV rolled a foot and stopped. Her window slid down and she asked why. And I told her again, not louder, just true because I can still do it without asking you for anything. She looked at me like a judge deciding where the line was, then the traffic decided for her, and the truck drifted away. But here's the thing, sometimes the moment doesn't leave with the car. It stays in your ribs like a held breath, you know what I mean? That night under the overpass caught humming on concrete, I kept replaying her eyes, and that one sentence, I can't beg, my hands still work. I used to be a middle school English teacher, the kind who could get 30 kids to argue about whether courage is loud or quiet. Then the hours got cut, my mom got sick, the kind of slow, expensive sick that empties a life, bills stacked. I sold my car and my couch and everything that felt like home except a little black notebook. Because when you don't have walls, sometimes a good sentence is a roof laugh. If you want it kept me dry, and the next afternoon I was in the slice of shade where the freeway makes its own weather. A circle of kids from the apartments nearby passing my notebook like a baton, sounding out words, building tiny ladders out of syllables. They call me Mr. Carter. Because once you teach, the name sticks, and we were getting into a rhythm. When the air changed, you know that prickling sense when trouble walks in wearing cologne. I looked up and saw Victor Hale, pressed shirt, smile like a receipt. He put his dress shoe on my notebook like he was pinning a butterfly and said, "Friday, Professor." "It's Friday," I told him the truth. "Not yet." He grinned at his two shadows, and one of them tapped my shoulder like a reminder to be small. The kids froze, Lupe yelled, "Leave Mr. Carter alone." And Victor glanced at her, then at me, then at that notebook. And I could see it the way some people take more joy in crushing than collecting. That's a special kind of broke. Then heels clicked into our shade like a gavel. And there she was, the woman from the SUV linen shirt, sunglasses in her hair. The kind of calm that makes room go silent. She took in the scene and said, "Take your foot off his book." He laughed like he had paid for the air and asked who she was. "Riley Navarro," she said. "And if you know Phoenix, you know the last name. It opens doors and builds a few." I run Navarro Horizons. I also read those words. "Belong to him, not you." He slid his shoe back, smirked, said, "If you're buying his way out, the rate just went up." She looked at me, not. Pity a question. Are you proud? Are you tired? Are you done being stepped on? I didn't answer. Not because I was noble, I was afraid that if I opened my mouth, every hungry part of me would say yes to the first kind thing anyone with leverage had offered me in months. The next morning she pulled up in a blue sedan. She was driving herself and said, "Get in, Mr. Carter. You've got class to teach." I stared at the handle like it was a test, and she added, "Not charity opportunity," so I got in. We rolled into a building made of glass and money marble floors. Judging my shoes, security looked at me like I was a loose screw. She didn't slow. "He's with me." 3 words that rearranged the room. She walked me into a conference room and pointed at a row of people who can do calculus in their heads while tracking stock options. "This is Miles Carter. He's going to teach you something." "You don't already know," a guy with a precise haircut smirked. "Yeah, that happened." My hands were shaking, but the old engine turned over. "Good morning," I said. "Put your phone face down. Then tell me the first sentence that ever made you feel less alone." I talked about story as a technology older than steel, about metaphors, as rehearsal for survival, about naming what wants to break you so it has to pay rent. I read a line I'd scrawled at 3 a.m. Dignity is the last garment of the poor. Take it, and you've stripped a person in public. The room went quiet, the way a desert goes quiet before rain. The smirk lifted his hand. What does dignity buy, Mr. Carter? Because my card is the one that pays for lunch. I stepped close enough that he had to tilt his chin and said, It buys the right to stand up straight when everyone else would prefer you kneel if you can't see the value in that. Maybe that's your poverty. Talking silence did what 1,000 seminars can't. It listened. Riley nodded once. Class dismissed 10 minutes, and somehow air weighed less. Outside the tower, heat hit like a flashbang, and for one beautiful second, I thought maybe the miracle was done. Maybe I could go breathe and not have to fight the same fight twice in a day. Then the black SUV drifted to the curb like a bad habit. Victor stepped out with two men who wear their shoulders like weapons. He grabbed my sleeve. Phones came up in a little forest. Riley stepped between us and laid a manila folder on his hood with the kind of confidence that makes paper heavy. You don't own his debt anymore, Mr. Hale, I do. He blinked. First time I'd seen that. I bought it last night at a discount. Your record is sloppy and your math is art. This is the contract. This is the receipt. And this is a temporary restraining order. Try to collect again, and a judge will teach you new vocabulary. Predatory, punitive. The sidewalk audience inhaled as one. He sneered at me. She can buy paper, professor, but she can't buy you a spine. Then he slunk off in taillights, which is fine. I've seen taillights before. Here's the twist you didn't see coming. If you still think rich people move only for headlines. She showed up that evening in jeans and a baseball cap, sat on the cooler by my cot, and said, I don't do pity, I do payroll. Come work for the Navarro Foundation. We're building a literacy lab that belongs to the neighborhoods that use it. We need someone who can teach without a PowerPoint and keep a room full of oxygen and teenagers. You will not be a driver. You will not be a cleaner. You will be what you are, a teacher. I asked the dumbest smart question. If I say yes, do I owe you? She laughed. Of course you owe me, you. Showing up on time with everything you know, and the nerve to teach people who think they don't need teaching. That's the only payment I accept. I said yes so fast, my pride had to jog to keep up. First day at the lab, I wore a donated button-down with a collar that believed in second chances and stood under a sign that said, Navarro Literacy Lab. Director Miles Carter. Kids from the underpass came with parents who didn't trust me yet, but trusted their kids, crates full of paperbacks, pencils in coffee cans, beanbags that smelled like church basements, a whiteboard shining like new teeth. Headlights swept the glass, the black SUV again. Doors opened like a threat. Victor climbed the steps and grabbed my sleeve, and a dozen phones went live. Riley appeared on the landing with that same folder only. This time she held her phone up. We're live to a crowd that has opinions about men who collect fear. Your banker cares about that, Mr. Hale. Not me. He let go because he isn't stupid. He said, you think you can buy the world, Ms. Navarro, and she said, I think I can build a piece of it and call it open to the public. He left in a storm of angry exhaust, and the kids inside exhaled so loud, the glass fogged. That's when it really landed. Second chances aren't a doorway. They're a hallway, door after door. You keep walking or you don't. I had to relearn little things, setting an alarm because people were waiting on the other side of it. Shaking hands without flinching. Looking at my own face in a mirror. Without arguing, a mom asked if I could make words, not hurt. Her son's mouth, we clapped beats and put verbs on our feet by Friday. He read a page without choking and grinned with a missing tooth like courage grew there. Riley kept her distance because good leaders know when to stay out of the room. But one afternoon, she set a key on my desk, a tiny studio on 15th rent, covered for 6 months. You'll hate the carpet and love the little window before you tell me no, remember opportunity. I sat on that ugly carpet and watched light write its name on the paint and thought, yeah, this is what a hallway looks like. Of course, the city had takes a clip of Victor getting checked, turned into a comment bonfire. Half the people cheered, half asked why a billionaire gets to carry a judge's voice in her pocket. A blogger called me a mascot for guilt. Another called me a hero and then asked for a selfie at the bus stop. A dad brought oranges because his daughter wouldn't stop reading out loud. A guy from the lot told me I sold out. And I told him, if selling out means showing up for kids with a marker that still squeaks, maybe we all need to sell just a little on open mic night. A boy who never spoke above a whisper read a poem and dropped the paper and laughed, surprised by the sound, like it belonged to someone he might become. So here's where I leave it in your hands. Was Riley right to buy my debt and turn the cameras on a man who prefers shadows? Or did she swing power like a hammer because she did? I keep my dignity by saying yes to a job and a key, or did I trade one dependency for another with better carpet? You tell me, drop your take in the comments. Tell me where you draw the line between help and control, justice and spectacle. And if this hit you anywhere real, like subscribe, share it with the person who taught you the first sentence that made you feel less alone. I'll be in the comments reading, because that's still how I find my way home.